I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here telling a story about how my life completely fell apart because of my wife, Sarah. We've been together for 5 years, engaged for almost a year, planning a wedding that I thought was going to be the happiest day of my life. She always seemed a little high maintenance, but I figured that was just her personality. She was flashy, a little bitchy, always had a comeback, but deep down I thought she loved me. Or at least I wanted to believe she did. At the beginning, everything was perfect, or so I thought. She was beautiful, smart, ambitious, but there was always a hint of something off, like she was hiding parts of herself. Little things, late nights, strange texts she'd quickly hide when I entered the room, or her changing her phone password without telling me. I brushed it off as paranoia at first. I mean, who doesn't get a little suspicious? But I trusted her. I really did, until the signs started to stack up. It all started about 3 weeks ago. I noticed she was unusually secretive about her phone. I'd ask her what she was texting, and she'd get defensive. "It's just my boss," she'd say, or "just a friend from work." But her messages were becoming more frequent, more personal. She'd laugh at texts I couldn't see, hide her phone when I looked her way. And I swear, I saw her delete a few texts one night when she thought I was asleep. That's when the little alarm bells really started ringing. Then came the change in her schedule. She started working late more often, claiming it was just extra hours at her job. But I knew her boss. He was a decent guy, nothing wrong there. No, what really tipped me off was the way she'd suddenly be more dressed up when she went out, always wearing some new perfume I didn't recognize, and her phone would buzz constantly when she was in the shower. I'd catch her sneaking her phone back into her purse quickly, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on. What really made me suspicious was the way she would get irritated if I asked about her whereabouts. She'd brush me off, call me paranoid, say I was insecure. But the worst part was the way she started to bait me, acting like I was crazy, calling me jealous or overthinking everything. That's when I knew she was hiding something, and I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind trying to figure out what. I kept telling myself, maybe I'm just paranoid. Maybe I'm imagining things. But deep inside, I knew she was lying. Then one night I decided to do a little digging. I got up around midnight and I saw her phone lying on the nightstand. I hesitated for a second, then grabbed it. Her notifications were flooded with messages from someone named Mike. That name made my stomach drop. I didn't know anyone named Mike, or at least I thought I didn't. There were a bunch of texts, flirty, suggestive, talking about secret meetings, plans that she clearly didn't want me to know about. My heart started pounding as I read through them. They were talking about how they couldn't wait to see each other again, sneaking around behind my back. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. How long had this been going on? How many times? Had I been blind to it? She had lied so easily about everything, spun her web of bullshit, and I was just a sucker believing in her. I couldn't sleep after that. I sat there in the dark, staring at her messages, feeling a mix of betrayal, anger, and complete helplessness. I never saw it coming, never thought she'd do something like this right before our wedding. That's when I realized I had to confront her, but I wasn't sure what that would look like yet. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept replaying those messages over and over. I couldn't believe she'd been lying to me for so long, hiding something so obvious. I kept telling myself I should just stay calm, confront her when I was ready, but that was easier said than done. All I wanted was to get some clarity, to understand how she could do this, especially right before we were supposed to get married. I waited until she left for work, her usual excuse about extra hours at the office. As soon as she closed the door behind her, I grabbed her phone again. I started digging through her messages, her call logs, her social media. I needed to confirm what I already knew. And sure enough, I found more evidence, screenshots of flirtatious texts, even some pictures she'd sent to Mike. She'd been carrying on with him for weeks, maybe longer. That secret she'd told me about was just that secret. It was with her best friend's brother, Mike. My blood boiled. I'd never even met the guy, but I hated him at that moment. How could she betray me so openly? I was stunned by how easily she lied, how little she cared about how much she was hurting me. I felt like a fool, like I'd been played. I had planned our wedding, introduced her to my family, trusted her with everything, only to find out she was screwing around with her best friend's brother all along. I didn't want to make any rash moves. I knew I had to think this through. So I sat there, staring at her phone, trying to process everything. My mind kept racing, wondering what I did wrong, how I missed all the signs. But the truth was, she was just a master manipulator. She knew how to hide her tracks, how to lie convincingly. I'd been blind because I loved her, because I wanted to believe she was perfect. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep this bottled up. But I also knew that I needed to be prepared for her usual lies and bullshit excuses. She was good at twisting the truth, making herself look like the victim. That's exactly what she did when I called her that morning. I'd never heard someone lie so effortlessly. She threw out everything: accusations, tears, blame shifting. "You're crazy," she said. "You're just insecure. Mike is just a friend. Why would I do something so stupid? You're overreacting as usual." She played the victim card like a pro, acting hurt that I would even think she'd cheat on me. That's when I realized she'd been preparing for this moment. She knew I'd find out eventually. And her reaction only made me angrier. How she could lie so effortlessly, so callously, like I was just some fool she could manipulate. All I kept thinking about was how this was going to change everything. I wanted to believe I could forgive her, that maybe we could work through it, but deep down I knew it was over. I saw her true colors. The woman I thought I loved was just a bitch hiding her real face behind a pretty smile. I didn't know what to do next, whether I should stay and fight for my marriage or cut my losses and walk away. But one thing was clear: my trust was shattered, and I'd never see her the same way again. After that confrontation, I was a mess. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut 1,000 times over. She kept crying, claiming she never meant for things to get this far, that it was just a stupid mistake, that she loved me and only me. Of course, her tears were fake. She'd perfected that act over the years. I could see right through her. She was bitchy, manipulative, and she knew exactly how to twist the knife, even as she acted like the innocent victim. I decided I needed some time to think. I told her I was taking a day to myself, that I needed to clear my head. She begged me to stay, to forgive her, to work things out. But I wasn't in a forgiving mood. I had never felt so betrayed in my life, and I knew I couldn't just sweep this under the rug. Not with the evidence I uncovered, not with her blatant lies. I packed a bag and left the apartment for the night, feeling numb, angry, and more lost than ever. That night I drank more than I should have, trying to drown out the pounding in my head. The betrayal cut deep. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could cheat on me right before our wedding with her own best friend's brother, no less. It felt like my entire world was crumbling. I was furious at her for thinking she could get away with it, but I was also hurt, really hurt. I thought I knew her, but now I realized I'd been blind. She was a liar, a user, a bitch who played with my feelings like they were nothing. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a decision to make. I knew I wasn't going to just sweep this aside. I had to confront her again, but this time I wanted to be prepared. I needed a plan. I couldn't let her manipulate me again, especially not after seeing how she lied so effortlessly. I decided I'd gather all the evidence I could, document everything, and then sit her down for a real talk. I knew I had to be careful. She was good at covering her tracks, so I started going through her phone again, saving screenshots, deleting nothing. I also reached out to her best friend, Lisa, to find out what she knew. Lisa was the one who introduced Sarah to Mike, and I figured she'd know more than she was letting on. When Lisa called back, she was surprised to hear from me but seemed nervous. I didn't waste time. I told her I knew everything, that I had seen the messages, and I wanted to know the truth. Lisa hesitated at first but finally cracked. She admitted that Sarah and Mike had been seeing each other secretly for months. She said Sarah had been lying to everyone, hiding her affair because she liked the thrill, the excitement of cheating. Lisa begged me not to ruin her brother's life, but I didn't care about him. All I cared about was Sarah, what she did to me, how she used me, how she lied right to my face. I told Lisa I appreciated her honesty, but that I was done trusting Sarah. This was the final straw. That afternoon, I made up my mind. I couldn't marry her. I couldn't pretend everything was okay when I knew her real face. I was furious, betrayed, and heartbroken, but I couldn't stay with someone who had no respect for me or our relationship. I called her and told her I was coming over. When I arrived at her place, she was waiting, trying to act normal like she hadn't just been caught in a lie. I looked her in the eyes and told her it was over, that I knew everything, that I was done being played for a fool. Her reaction was classic. She started crying again, claiming I was overreacting, that I was making a mistake, that she loved me and would never do anything to ruin us. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I had lost all trust, all respect. The girl I thought I knew was just a manipulative, bitchy liar. I told her to pack her things and get out. I was done. I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I just wanted to go back to my life before I met her, before she turned into this nightmare. I'm not gonna lie, I felt relief, but also an incredible sense of betrayal that I'd never fully recover from. After she left, I sat alone in the quiet of the apartment, trying to make sense of everything. My mind kept flashing back to all the moments I'd missed, all the signs I'd ignored. I felt stupid for trusting her, for believing her lies. The worst part was knowing she had done this with her best friend's brother, Mike. That detail, that sneaky, disgusting detail, made me sick to my stomach. I kept thinking about how she'd lied so effortlessly, her bitchy attitude flipping from sweet to manipulative in an instant. I knew I had to do something about all this. I wasn't just going to let her walk away and pretend everything was fine. No, I needed to make sure everyone knew what kind of person she really was. I started gathering all the evidence, screenshots, her deleted messages, the photos she'd sent to Mike. I wanted everything documented. I also reached out to some of our mutual friends, people I thought I could trust, and warned them. I told them what I found, that she'd been screwing her best friend's brother behind my back. I wasn't about to let her get away with the lies, the manipulations, the betrayal without consequences. Of course, I knew Sarah wouldn't just fade away quietly. She's the kind of person who's used to getting her way, always throwing fits if things don't go her way. So I expected a fight. Sure enough, she started blowing up my phone, texts, calls, crying, begging me to listen. I didn't want to hear her words anymore. All I saw was a girl who was selfish, bitchy, and completely unfaithful. I blocked her number and social media accounts that very night, deciding I needed to cut all ties. I couldn't have her twisting my words, gaslighting me, or lying to my face again. The next few days were a blur. I stayed with a friend, trying to keep my head clear. Every time I thought about her, I felt this rage bubbling up, rage at her, at myself for trusting her, and at how I'd let her manipulate me for so long. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all the signs? How could she be so cold, so calculating? She's always been bitchy, yeah, but I never thought she'd be this malicious. And her lying, she's a pro at it. The way she spun her stories made herself look innocent. That was her game, and I was just a pawn. But I wasn't going to let her win. I decided I'd tell my side of the story to everyone who needed to hear it, our friends, family, anyone who cared enough to listen. I was done with her lies. I wanted people to see the real Sarah, the manipulative, selfish girl who thought she could cheat her way out of accountability. I started drafting a message, a full explanation of what I found, how I felt. I knew it might blow everything up, but I didn't care anymore. I needed to be honest, even if it meant burning bridges. Meanwhile, I also reached out to a lawyer just to understand my options. I wasn't planning on rushing into anything, at least not yet. But I wanted to protect myself legally, especially since she might try to make this into some kind of messy situation. I wasn't about to be the fool who got played and left with nothing. I had a lot to lose, and I wasn't going to let her take advantage of me again. Honestly, the biggest shock was how quickly everything changed. One moment I was planning a wedding, imagining the future, and the next I was dealing with a girl who had lied to my face, cheated with her best friend's brother, and thought she could get away with it. I've never felt so betrayed, so angry. I used to think I was a decent guy, trustworthy, honest, and loyal. But now I'm just angry. Angry that I let her get so close. Angry I ever believed she was the girl I wanted to spend my life with. And the worst part is, I know I'll probably never fully recover from this. The scars are too deep, and her bitchy, manipulative face keeps haunting me. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. Every time I tried to sleep, I saw her face, smug, fake tears, that bitchy smile she'd put on when she thought she was fooling everyone. I kept replaying the scene of her leaving, her acting like she was innocent, even as I knew the truth. The betrayal cut so deep it felt like a wound that wouldn't heal. I'd catch myself staring at my phone, waiting for her to call or text, hoping she'd somehow apologize or tell me it was all a mistake. But deep down, I knew I'd never get that. Not from her. I also made it a point to get rid of everything that connected me to her. Her clothes, her jewelry, even her favorite lipstick. I didn't want any physical reminders of her sneaky, bitchy ways cluttering up my space. I wanted to clear my head and start fresh, even if that meant a long, painful process. The betrayal was so raw that I felt like I was walking around in a fog, angry, hurt, and completely lost. In the middle of all this chaos, I kept replaying what she'd said during that last confrontation. Her tears, her sobs, her "I love you," all of it just sounded like a big lie now. She lied to my face for months, probably even longer, just to cover her own ass. And her excuses, saying she was stressed at work, that Mike just meant nothing, that she was confused, they all sounded so hollow. I knew that. Girl was a liar, a manipulator, a bitch who played with my feelings like they were nothing. And I was sick of trusting her, sick of being played. I started reaching out to people I trusted, close friends, some family members, just to get some perspective. I needed the truth from others who knew me. Many of them were shocked, angry even. They called her a bitch, said she was manipulative, and told me I deserved someone better. That helped a little. It made me realize I wasn't crazy for feeling like shit. I'd been used, played, and I needed to get myself out of this mess. I knew I had to move on, but it wasn't easy. Every time I thought about her, I felt a mix of rage and sadness, like I'd lost a part of myself. One thing I did learn through all this: never ignore the red flags. I had seen some signs early on: her secretiveness, her lying, her bitchy attitude, but I was blinded by love. I wanted to believe she was the girl I thought she was. But she was. She was just a manipulative, selfish girl who thought she could cheat her way through life and get away. With it, I should have trusted my gut from the beginning. Instead, I let her manipulate me into thinking everything was fine. Now I'm at a crossroads. Do I try to forget her and move on? Or do I let the anger and betrayal eat me alive? Honestly, I don't have the answer yet. Right now, I'm just taking it day by day, trying to pick up the pieces. I know I'll have scars for a long time, but I also know I won't let her ruin me completely. One thing I do know for sure: I've learned a hard lesson about trust and betrayal. Never ignore the signs, never let someone manipulate your feelings, and never stay with someone who lies so easily. That bitchy girl I thought I knew turned out to be a master at deception. And the truth is, I'm better off without her. It's going to take time, but I'll heal. I have to. Looking back now, I realize how much this whole experience changed me. I used to believe in love, in trusting someone completely, but that trust was shattered in a way I never thought possible. The girl I thought I knew turned out to be a manipulative, bitchy liar who thought she could get away with cheating on me with her best friend's brother, Mike. The betrayal cut so deep that I felt like I lost a part of myself, and honestly, I still carry the scars. But here's the thing: despite all the pain and anger, I've come to see this as a lesson. Trust is fragile, and it's something you have to protect. I was naive to overlook her signs, to ignore her bitchy attitude and secretive ways. I let love blind me, and that almost cost me everything. Now I know I deserve better. I've learned to listen to my gut, to recognize red flags before they blow up in my face. I also realized I can't force someone to be faithful or honest. If they want to lie and manipulate, that's on them. My job is to protect myself, to walk away when someone shows me their true colors. I refuse to be a fool again, falling for someone who only cares about her own selfish needs. I'm taking this heartbreak as a wake-up call, something I won't forget, but something that will make me stronger. So I moved out of that apartment, started fresh, and began focusing on myself. I cut ties with her entirely, no contact, no looking back. I blocked her on everything, deleted her number, and stopped obsessing over what she did. Instead, I concentrated on rebuilding my life, on finding happiness outside of that toxic relationship. It's not easy. I still get angry sometimes, still wonder how I missed the signs. But I know now that I deserve someone who respects me, who's honest, who isn't a manipulative, bitchy liar. I want anyone else going through something similar to learn from my story. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't let someone manipulate you because you want to believe in love. Trust is earned, not given blindly. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're being lied to, cheated on, or manipulated, walk away. It's better to be alone than with someone who doesn't value you. In the end, I'm grateful I found out before it was too late. I'm hurt, sure, but I'm also stronger. I'll move on, rebuild my life, and someday I'll find someone who truly deserves my trust and love. That girl, Sarah, she's just a chapter in my story now, a painful chapter, but one I'll survive, and that's what matters.